Hey, Nichole Huntsman, your astrologer from moderncosmic.com. So today we're going to continue our Synastry series. I've been wanting to work on this over the weekend, but I was just busy with other things. So we're going to talk about the moon and Mars. The moon being your emotional needs and your emotional natural instincts, and Mars being the way that the partner or yourself or anyone does something. It's the passion, it's the impetus behind sort of how you're going to do something as well, according to the zodiac sign and house placement. Now, when you have inter aspects between two people, these are important planets to look at because the moon is a luminary. So the moon is your emotional nature, and it's your sense of comfort, and it's what you need to feel safe and secure and loved. And a person's Mars is their passion. And what I've seen many times with Moon-Mars contacts is there's a magnetic sort of attraction that happens between these two. And I actually love something that I read once, I believe by Davison, where he talks about the moon symbolizing or ruling magnetism. And of course, Mars is iron. Mars rules iron. And so it's like metal filings being drawn together. Now, you've got to assume that in your relationship, there's some sort of emotional connection between the two of you. Because if it's just, you have other things between you that aren't getting along well, this can feel irritating. It can feel like this person pisses me off. They agitate me. They bring out Martian qualities in me emotionally, which typically is anger. But if this is a romantic relationship where all things being equal, the two people have some nice harmony with their other planets, then this can feel like a very sexy, magnetic draw between two people. Something really important to note is the moon is the feminine. The moon, whether you're a man or a woman, that's the part of you that's receptive, that makes it a feminine planet. And Mars is the masculine. It's how you're going to make something happen in the world around you. Okay, we can be as literal as looking at female and male genitalia to understand how if something's feminine, it's a vessel, and if something's masculine, it's like the chalice and the blade, right? If it's masculine, it's making something happen in the world, and if it's the vessel, it's receiving something. So if the man is the one who holds the Mars, let's say, and the woman's the one that holds the moon, this is a very nice natural yin-yang thing, okay? And you got to take the whole entire birth charts into consideration, because if you've got a man who has a lot of feminine planets in his birth chart, then there's a good chance he's going to be attracted to a female whose Mars perhaps makes aspects to his moon. That's very common, actually. But if he's somebody who has a very masculine birth chart, and her Mars is making aspects to his moon, there's a good chance that it could be a little bit agitating for him, or a little bit emasculating, okay? So now, in reverse, if we've got the woman's moon, the man's Mars, and they've got nice trine, conjunction, even a square, really, but really, especially the trines, conjunctions, and sextiles, this is a fertility aspect as well. If you actually think about Mars as sperm and the moon as the egg, this is an aspect that shows you probably want to be using some sort of, if you're not wanting to get pregnant, you're wanting to be using some sort of birth control to prevent pregnancy from happening. If nothing else, it just gives a very fertile sexual energy to the interaction between the two people, okay? As I said, if all other things are equal. So let's use some examples here. Let's say you've got, let's go a Pisces Mars, a Pisces Moon. So we've got a man who's got a Pisces Mars, a woman who has a Pisces Moon. Many times men who have Pisces Mars, they can feel like there's a mystical quality to the Pisces Mars. There is also sometimes there's this feminine flow with how they do things in their life. I know someone who's really quite successful, who has a lot of cardinal planets. He's got a lot of Aries in his chart, but he has a Mars that's in Pisces. And he's a entrepreneur, but he's very creative and imaginative. That's that Pisces Mars. And he is kind of a hippie. He's sort of, into counterculture and following the bigger meaning behind things. Okay. So if he gets with a woman who has her moon in Pisces, this is really lovely, because many times men with Mars in Pisces can be misunderstood. They can be thought of as being too soft, or not taking action quickly enough or boldly enough, or the ways that in Western society we say are masculine. Well, a woman with that Pisces moon is going to be this really nice complement to his Mars, because she will receive and understand the way it is he's going about his mystical, shamanistic kind of, approach to life. She'll love it, and she'll reflect it right back at him, because she would be the moon in this situation. Now, if you were to flip this, and you had the woman who's, let's say we've got a woman with a Mars in, we'll say Scorpio, and a man with a moon in Scorpio. Okay, that's a pretty intense combination. If you're a couple like this, let me know, because I'd love to hear your experience with this. But a woman with a Mars in Scorpio has a directed, focused way of doing things. Mars and Scorp, my mom has Mars and Scorp, when they go about doing something, they're going to complete the task. They're going to this Mars is dignified. It's very healthy and happy in the sign of Scorpio. So, this is someone who gets things done. If her partner's a moon in Scorpio, she's going to appreciate his emotional nature, that when he loves someone, he loves them deeply, perhaps privately and quietly, and perhaps that person doesn't know for a bit. Moon and Scorps can kind of hold things in and keep them sort of secret, because for fear of letting it out that, it would be too much for people to handle, and then they ultimately would perhaps be rejected for their intense emotions. This Mars and Scorp female would be able to sort of activate and inspire his moon. Like, he will see that she's someone who, the way a Mars and Scorp takes action many times will be sort of, they have strategy, they're strategic. They understand the idea of keeping things private, keeping things sacred and personal and in the partnership. And so he will then feel perhaps opened up to his ability, that Scorpio nature when it comes to love, that intensity. So it's like he's in a sense activated. It activates. That's what Mars is an activator. It's like lights a fire under something. So that was helpful. If you've got any experiences with Moon to Mars, let me know. I should actually mention also, by the way, sorry, I'm kind of rambling this morning. I need to drink more. We're snowed in. I can't go get my coffee, so I'm just doing my best with my Diet Mountain Dew. If you've got a square, okay, so a square or an opposition. Let's talk about squares and oppositions, so like the harder aspects, inner aspects. Let's say we've got, and in particular, let's say it's a woman's Mars squaring or opposing a man's moon. This is one where, especially, as I said, if you've got a really strong man, this is one where initially he can be quite attractive to this female, because she's going to hold space as his anima. I mean, she's going to really symbolize for him this strong inner feminine that he himself holds. That's why he's drawn to her, because she's holding space. Your Mars is opposite someone's moon. That means you've got this external, outward flowing, passionate energy about you that is mirroring and reflecting this other person's receptive nature. So you will, in this man, many times there's a hot sexual attraction, and initially with the oppositions and the squares. But over time, many times the man's moon, again, it depends on the zodiac sign, but if it's a really strong masculine moon, he may start to feel vulnerable, and it's almost under attack in a sense. And so they can sometimes close off, or they can, there can be other tactics, especially if you throw Pluto or if you throw Saturn in the mix, then you've really can turn into kind of mind games, or, his vulnerabilities are being sort of, the armor is being removed in a sense. And so that feels vulnerable. So if the person you've got to look at the moons and the Marses, look at the individual birth charts. Is that moon or is that Mars, are either of them making poor aspects to, for example, Saturn, to Mars itself even, to Mars, to, what about to Pluto? What about to Neptune? You can have a partner who's kind of, that can be a little unrequited love kind of a thing happening there. So at any rate, if you watched this ramble to this point, congratulations. I hope it made sense. Let me know if you've got any thoughts, if you've experienced this relationship yourself. All right. Okay. Have a great one. Bye-bye.